I'm Major General John Lorimer, the Chief of Defence Staff's Strategic Communication Officer, and I thought that I'd provide you an update on the UK's military evacuation operation in Libya. 10 days ago, on the 22nd of February, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office asked the Ministry of Defence to scope military options to support the civil and commercial efforts to extract British nationals safely from Libya. The situation was fast-moving, potentially dangerous, and deteriorating hour by hour. It required a swift, coordinated and well-planned response from Defence, working alongside other government departments and in concert with wider UK and international efforts. Maritime, land and air assets were tasked both from the UK and elsewhere to assist in a large-scale and complex operation involving in excess of 800 personnel from across the three services. As of today, military operations have led to the evacuation of 1,387 people from Libya, 507 of whom were British nationals. Royal Navy ships were tasked from the outset in assisting the FCO. HMS Cumberland was retasked whilst returning from the Arabian Gulf, where she'd been helping to protect Iraqi oil platforms and conducting counter-piracy operations. HMS Cumberland was tasked to Suda Bay in Crete for refuelling, where she awaited the arrival of a Hercules C-130 from RAF Lynham, which brought in supplies. An operational liaison and reconnaissance team, which would help establish the situational awareness on the ground in Libya, was also deployed. Additionally, a fleet support rifle troop of Royal Marines, which has provided force protection to the Royal Navy ships docking at the port of Benghazi, was flown in. With these capabilities in place, HMS Cumberland, a Type 22 frigate, was configured to play a part in the evacuation operation. And over the course of the following week, she rescued 425 people, including 119 UK nationals, from Benghazi, evacuating them to Valletta in Malta. Then on 28th of February, HMS York, a Type 42 destroyer, was tasked to extract 43 entitled personnel, including 11 UK nationals, as well as delivering medical and food supplies to aid agencies in Benghazi. There have been 3 air operations using Hercules C-130 aircraft based out of RAF Lynham, supported by E-3D AWACS aircraft. The first operation rescued 64 entitled personnel, 51 of them British nationals, from Tripoli on Thursday 24th of February, evacuating them to Malta, while 2 further higher risk operations rescued oil workers and others from desert areas in the east and west of the country. The UK was the first nation to send its military air assets into these desert areas to rescue both its citizens and other entitled personnel. These combined Royal Air Force and Special Forces operations again saw C-130 Hercules aircraft flying into Libya. The first operation took place on Saturday and recovered 176 people from desert locations south of Benghazi. 74 of these were British. The second operation rescued 189 civilians, including 21 British nationals, from eastern Libyan desert locations on Sunday. Now, these were relatively high-risk operations and, as you will be aware, during the second operation, one of the C-130s suffered minor damage consistent with small arms fire. At other times, air crews were required to work with ground forces to counter attempts to stop aircraft from leaving the landing strips. There were no injuries to passengers or aircrew, but these incidents highlight the challenging and volatile environment in which these operations were conducted. Now, these operations required considerable planning and coordination. The overall military operation was coordinated by the MOD through the Permanent Joint Headquarters in Northwood, which deployed its High Readiness Joint Force Headquarters, JFHQ, to Malta to provide the necessary command and control. A tri-service organisation, the JFHQ is a deployable part of PJHQ and is held at very high readiness to deploy worldwide within 4 hours, under the orders from the Chief of Joint Operations. In Malta, it is currently made up of 16 personnel and is commanded by Brigadier James Bashall. The UK has and remains at the centre of ongoing international efforts in the region, with Brigadier Bashall continuing to chair the multinational Non-Combatant Evacuation Operation Coordination Cell in the British High Commission in Valletta, which is coordinating the international military evacuation efforts. There are currently 18 nations working together to share information and coordinate activity. UK military assets remain poised in the area to further assist if required. In addition to those used so far, other military assets and platforms are available for potential future operations. These include RFA Argus and HMS Westminster, a Type 23 Duke-class frigate. 3 UK CH-47 Chinooks remain deployed in Malta, and troops from the 3rd Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, forming the Spearhead Lead Element, were put on shortened notice to move in the UK. The MOD is currently working with the FCO and the Department for International Development, and we continue to scope opportunities and options for how military assets might be used as part of the wider humanitarian effort. A military liaison officer accompanied the Secretary of State for Development when he visited Theatre Today. UK military assets will continue to provide support as required and will remain in the area on standby. HMS York has handed over to HMS Westminster today, and HMS Cumberland continues to patrol off the coast of Libya, providing information for situational awareness, whilst the Hercules aircraft and the Chinooks remain in Malta on standby.